We want our children to come to know God, don't we? We want them to have a faith that's real, that's personal to them, that is dynamic and exciting and gives their life purpose. We want them to be living lives that are joyful and peaceful. And we recognise that comes through Jesus, and He is the creator of life. And our prayer certainly is that the ceiling that we get to in our own Christian life in terms of the depth of our relationship with God and our faith and so on is a kind of a floor that our children can stand on and go on in their life. That's really our heart. And I imagine that for many of you, it's similar. We want our children to be happy. We recognise that peace and that joy comes through Jesus. How do we go about helping them to choose it and to want to go the way of Jesus? How do we help them to make an informed decision and choose to follow Jesus? We think family church is actually a really useful and maybe even a critical piece of that jigsaw puzzle of creating the opportunity for our children to come to know God. For us, it was kind of forced upon us, really, family church, through the coronavirus pandemic, when we weren't able to take our children to Sunday service at Hope as we have done before, and instead had to kind of improvise and do church in our home, parents and children together, worshipping as a household in some way. It was a whole new thing. And actually, as we've done that, we've realised it's brought up stuff and it's shown us stuff that was missing from our Christian life before, and actually vital ingredients that we need for our children to have this opportunity to know God and to grow as Christians through their life. You know, in retrospect, we were probably slightly naive, thinking that just through going to church on a Sunday, that would be enough, really. You know, what is it, 2 hours a week? So what about 8 or 10 hours in a month out of however many hours there are? Is that really enough time for children to fully explore their faith, fully interrogate and ask these questions, to experience Jesus for themselves? Certainly, if for other areas of life, we would devote much more time than that. And there's a misunderstanding, I think, of the place of the Sunday church gathering if we assume that that's what it's going to be delivering, is sufficient space for our children to really know and follow God. It's really important, and I'll come on to the why and what the Sunday gathering is for in a minute as a wider church. But what family church has shown us is that, and it's created the kind of crucible, the challenging context in which children have had to, and parents and children have had to connect enough to worship God together. And certainly for me, and I think for lots of us, it's been pushing into new territory. And so in these little videos about family church, I'm going to be speaking into 3 different things, which I think will help us as we learn this kind of skill and we navigate this path of doing family church as a regular feature. So we're going to look at covering, connectedness, and content. Those are the 3 things. And I guess a little bit more on the why and the what of family church. An interesting thing on the kind of why do we do it. Stephen Covey wrote a book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he wrote one on highly effective families as well, 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families. And he said that there are 2 practices that he notices within all the families that he's studied for sort of highly effective families. And that's 2 things that they do. One of them is having one-to-ones between that adult, the parents, and the children. And the other one is by having a regular family meeting. And that's kind of what we see family church as a kind of regular meeting, and recognised in a book, it's not a Christian book, but recognising that that's has a big impact on the sort of life and fruitfulness of a family. And so we're saying family church is a regular meeting, ideally weekly, when you meet together and you worship God and you connect with God as a family. That's the idea, and the dream and the hope is that coming out of this will be children who know God, who've walked with their parents, and their parents being vulnerable and real and open and sharing their life, and through that children will come to know God. And then the Sunday gathering that we have as a whole church is a place where we get together in a broader community and we can sort of celebrate together. Children can see peers and other generations who are Christians and be encouraged and enjoy having fun time, fellowship and worshipping alongside them. So hopefully these videos will be encouraging to you as you build and continue with Family Church becoming a regular feature within your life.